Good evening. I would like to thank Dean DeSalle for having me speak tonight, and President Huddleston, Dean Kamen, and other distinguished guests for joining us in our celebration. To friends, faculty, family, and fellow students, I am honored to be standing here today to celebrate the UNH Manchester graduating class of 2018. Congratulations. We have worked incredibly hard to be here today. Over the past few years, I have come to know a great many of you and have thoroughly enjoyed our friendships. We have all traveled many paths to get to this moment here today, and it is a time for celebration and reflection. We were all drawn to UNH Manchester for a variety of reasons: location, affordability, academic excellence, and some for the food at the Wildcats Cafe. It's delicious. Our stories vary greatly in detail. Some are veterans who have served this country by protecting us abroad and at home, who have traveled the world and come here to start a whole new journey. Some of us are parents, raising families, wearing multiple hats, doing homework side by side with our children, and finding what time we can in the day to pursue a better career or advance an existing one. Some are non-traditional students who bring years of career experience and wisdom into the classroom. While some are more traditional, right out of high school, who hit the ground running with fresh ideas and energy. We are people of different races, religion, sexual orientation, political affiliation, and philosophies. Through tenacity and grit, each of us brings something hard-won to the table. We all enter into an educational experience expecting to be changed, but my time at UNH Manchester has been transformative in a very specific way. On reflection of my experience, I am amazed when I look back on who and where I was when I started, and who and where I am today. On some level, each of us had to overcome barriers to our education and success. Parking is the first thing that comes to mind. But overcoming barriers is something that UNH Manchester students are really good at. I first came to UNHM in 2002, right out of high school. I enrolled in a few classes and quickly realized I wasn't quite ready for college. And so the story of this particular experience begins 10 years later, when I started college in the fall of 2012. By then I had a husband and 3 kids. My youngest was 3. I was a stay-at-home mom and was coming to the realization that all of my children would soon be in school full-time and I would need a job. My husband, Michael, and I had married just 2 years after I had graduated high school, and I had only an adult diploma and 8 years of experience as a housewife to bring to the table. I felt compelled to prepare myself for the workforce. My mother, who had been urging me for years to go to school, offered to help me financially. As a young mother, she too had put herself through an undergraduate and master's program and understood the impact school would have on my life. Even so, I had some significant barriers to my education. It's expensive and time-consuming. I was uncertain about my ability to complete a college degree with a husband and 3 busy kids and what the time away from them might mean. I feared failure and change. Different is scary. I knew who I was in my little world, but I needed skills, and I thought I might just be smart enough to trudge through an associate's degree. My husband came home from work one Tuesday night, and I announced I was going back to college. When? He asked. Next Monday. The poor guy. I can be a bit of a handful. I started, like many students, with a night class in English 401. I figured that I should probably learn how to write a paper. My grades weren't fantastic in high school, and since I had just hatched this crazy college idea, I hadn't had time to look into getting my transcripts, so I enrolled as a continuing ed student. I would get dinner ready and kids and jams and drive the 45 minutes to school. I worked so hard in that class, and it was totally new territory. I am social, and I like to talk to people, but I'd always been in groups of people like me. The class was small, maybe 10 students, a mixture of traditional and non-traditional. We dressed differently, we talked differently, and we stood for many different things. I was out of my comfort zone. With each class, I found myself and my ideas challenged, and I pushed back. Dr. Pugh most likely recalls one or two instances where I questioned him on the validity of core scientific principles in class. It was somewhere in the beginning of my sophomore year that I began to recognize my ignorance. By definition, ignorance is a lack of knowledge, education, or awareness. To me, it seems to stem from the idea that our individual experiences are enough to explain the world around us without input or perspective from anyone outside our intimate circles. It wasn't until I began my education that I was able to see that I had been living in a carefully constructed environment where what I thought and did was the only normal. Ignorance can be difficult to tackle, but the solution demands access to education that teaches critical thinking skills and creates the space for genuine relationships with people from different backgrounds and philosophies. There is no doubt in my mind that UNH Manchester meets the criteria of an academic institution committed to whole student success and combating ignorance by making education accessible and by providing places for engagement with a diverse population. If you never before had someone see your hidden potential, the moment you walked through the doors, you were met by an army of advocates. You see it in the collaborative and creative culture that is fostered here. Our campus is a collection of dedicated, brilliant, and highly trained staff and faculty who meet students where they are and help them build on their successes. Our librarians know most students by name and will help you find any source within their power and patiently, and with great humor, teach you to navigate the databases for the fourth time. The Learning Commons, where I have spent the last 3 years as a peer tutor in the CAE, fills the spaces between classroom and student, and all who work there are deeply invested in making sure that students know what their resources are and where to find them. But the faculty and staff and the instruction and support only go so far. They train us to become great thinkers and problem solvers. They help us to recognize our intellectual gifts and focus our strengths and strengthen our areas of weakness. And knowing how to learn and take in new information is a key part in battling ignorance. But we can know something without really believing it, and that is where the relationships we form with each other come in. We are a unique group of people at a unique time in history. Our country is struggling with building bridges and having difficult conversations with people with whom we may not agree with or struggle to understand. But we as UNHM students have a distinct advantage in moving forward. We have been having these conversations and making space for each other since we came here. It is an essential skill to be able to speak to people who are different than you and genuinely try to understand them. This capacity for understanding is a principal trait in great leadership. Let me share an example. The first time I met Saba was in the spring of 2013. We were taking Professor Rabadi's history class, The Makings of Islamic Culture. Professor Rabadi is an engaging and charismatic educator, and each class was intense and fascinating. Saba is Muslim, and I am from a Christian background. The professor would often speak of hot-button topics, discussing and exposing difficult moments in the history of Christianity and Islam, and Saba and I would often speak out in class, challenging this or that, and looking for a deeper understanding of the topic at hand. We found ourselves staying a few minutes after class and talking with the professor, and slowly a friendship grew. We were careful and sensitive with each other as we sought to find common ground. It was incredible. It was frightening and profound as we dared to ask each other questions about faith, culture, societal perception, with breaks for selfies with new Snapchat filters. Often after one of our chats, I would find myself thinking, there is so much more to know. I started looking at the world a little differently and began to reach out to other classmates around campus. I learned as much, if not more, from the people around me as I did in the classroom. When you look around our campus on any given day, you see small groups of students from all different majors engaging with one another, talking, laughing, debating, and helping each other on assignments. As UNHM students, our education has not been limited to our majors or within the walls of our classrooms. Our education also came in the form of relationships with each other. I have had incredible discussions with fellow students about the most politically charged topic of the minute, with each of us offering a different view respectfully and thoughtfully. I've seen points made and conceded. We have worked together and shown that there is real success to be gained when we put aside our bias and engage. And to me, perhaps that has been the most valuable component to my experience. As we go forward, I am confident that we will shape the spaces that we move through in a way that reflects the importance of collaboration and encouragement. Only success can come from valuing other people and different perspectives. I am not the same person I was 5 years ago, when I was so unaware of what I didn't know, when I was certain that I knew enough about people to justify snap judgments and shut down opposing views. There is not enough room on my diploma to fit all of the names of the people who made this path possible for me. But to my children, Hannah, Jack, and Matthew, look around you. There are so many paths to success, and you get to make your own. I am so proud to be your mom. To my husband of 14 years, Michael, thank you for putting up with all of my crazy dreams. Mom, Dad, Betty, and Michael, thank you for everything you did to support and encourage me. I look back at the journey that I've been on with my family, my professors, and you, my friends. And I want to thank you. Today, I approach the world with a humbling sense of just how little I know, how much there is to learn, and a commitment to keep an open mind and heart no matter where my career path leads me. And I'm confident that you will do the same. Congratulations, and thank you.